Thank you for joining me. It is a beautiful Sunday here. It's almost like summer. It's like 75 degrees, and that's a little warm for spring, but it is gorgeous. I hope wherever you are, you have as well a beautiful day, even though much of the country we've had such traumatic and terrible weather. I mean, floods. And I mean, did you check that big snowstorm out west? I mean, that was just amazing. They got what, 4 or 5 feet of snow there in like 24 hours. Just amazing, really. Yeah, our world, I mean, it's just, has it always been like that? Well, yes and no. We have throughout the years, there has been freaky storms and freaky weather, but it seems like it's more and more now, and I think with the warming of the world, um, that has a lot to do with that. You know, I heard an interesting thought the other day, which I thought I'd pass on to you. They believe that you all know about solar energy, right? And solar energy, they have found if we would only utilize solar energy, the warming of the world would somewhat reduce because it takes the energy of the heat, gives it to the batteries, and converts it then into energy to power anything with. Um, and I thought if nothing ever has really spoken for solar energy, um, I think that would, if people are not convinced with that, then I don't know what would it take. At this point, I also want to introduce our producer, Amnan. Amnan,
Yes,
thank you
ma'am.
so much for having this show every Sunday. Amnan and I, we both are not being paid for anything. We're doing this because we want to enlighten people, and Amnan is truly a person that has the welfare of the world and the animals also at his heart. So I thank him, and I hope the public and all your listeners thank him for doing this good deed.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. And so, yeah, I mean, I thought that was super interesting, isn't it? That if we have solar panels all on our houses would also be cooler. We would not, we would not have to use as much air conditioning, ergo, not as much electricity. Super idea, isn't it? Uh, so if any of you have thoughts on that, please do let me know. You can also interact with me. You can talk to me. You can just on the site. Amnon, would you give them the telephone number and how they can get in touch with me?
919-518-9773 or Computers 2K Voice on Skype.
Terrific. So you have no excuse. If you have a question, please do ask it. I am so glad to, if you do, because I welcome all of your questions. So I'm thinking that if we ever get our energy crisis and our you know uh, the the matter of world warming and the burning of fossil fuel that facilitates all of that, if we ever get that into hand, then we should also be maybe rated as one of the happiest countries in the world. Now, I don't know if you know, people are saying that Denmark is the country that people are the most satisfied, the happiest. But did you also know that Bhutan is? And if you don't know where Bhutan is in Tibet, in the country of, and it's a small country, and they have a minister that is in charge of happiness for the people. I think that is just the way we should have. I think for our next cabinet, there should be a minister that is in charge of the happiness of people. Now, there was an interview about that, and the network talked to the prince of Bhutan, who is also very involved with the happiness of its people. They have, I think Bhutan has probably 150,000 people. So it's not really very, very difficult maybe to keep them happy. But you know what? They keep them happy by merging economical welfare and mental welfare. They feel that if all the people have a common religion, which in this case is Buddhism, and Buddhism by itself is really the religion for happiness, I would say, the religion for contentment. And they also are seeing that everybody has shelter, that everybody has work, that everybody has food. So unhappiness is often because people want more than what they have. Buddhism teaches us that happiness does not come from possessions. And I do believe that also. It does not come from having the next big car and having the next big house or having the latest designer clothes. That does not provide happiness. But happiness does provide the love of a beautiful animal, or the love of a person, or having friends that care for you and love you, having family that you interact with and that you care for. That all provides us with happiness. And if you practice that every day, you will find yourself happier. It's just a matter of really a fact. They also in Bhutan do not have any McDonald's. They don't even have a Starbucks there. They don't have any fast food chains. They do, however, have now a lot of computers and a lot of cell phones. The question was, before the children were taught archery as the national sport, which is a meditative sport, really. You have to concentrate, you have to put yourself into the arrow and into the bow, and you have to focus your mind towards this task. I have done a little bit archery and I love it. And it is one of the, I think, one of the sports forms that requires the most concentration. And if you concentrate your thought on just one item, on just one thing, it is at the same time meditative. It is just amazing of how that works. And that works even more so if you have an animal. If you have an animal that you really are connecting with, if you quiet your whole demeanor, if you really concentrate and focus on that animal, I don't care what animal it is, can be a wild animal. I was talking the other day out here to a squirrel. I was sitting very, very still. The squirrel was sitting on a tree limb not far away from me, was staring intently at me, and I was looking at it, but my whole being was, I want to be your friend. I'm not threatening. That squirrel sat there for the longest time we communicated. And it sounds, like I'm a little wacky, but I'm not. Try it. It works. It really works. And try it first with your pets. If you have a pet that you really concentrate with your pet, don't touch the pet, just sit in front of each other and be quiet. If the pet stops communicating with you, it will lie down and maybe just go to sleep or walk away. But all you have to do is point all of your thoughts and all of your quietness towards the animal. And you will see of how beneficial that is for you and your animal. Now, the same thing works also with somebody who is very ill, somebody who is in a hospital bed, maybe. I used to do that when my mother had a very bad stroke and she was in a coma. And I would sit next to her, and all of my being, all of my thoughts, all of my feelings, all of my energy, all of my concentration, I put towards my mother and tried to communicate with her. In my mind, I would recite things. I would tell her things. But my whole concentration was not really focused on telling her things. It was more so that I was giving her my energy. And guess what? She did wake up. Now, does that work every time? I don't know. But it has worked many times, as we know. Many people have woken up out of a deep coma. And it usually is because somebody of the family or somebody that that person used to be close with, was sitting next to it and literally gave them the energy. Now, in ancient China and Japan, it used to be that old men would have a young woman, a very young girl, not very young, but a young girl, uh, sleeping with them at night. Now, that was not so much for sexual purposes, but they felt that the energy of that young person would boost their own energy. And obviously, it must have worked somewhat because the practice was kept for hundreds of years. And it's still, many older men, they marry very much younger women. I mean, look at Donald Trump. I mean, his wife is what, 27 years younger, 30 years younger? So it seems to work that you can give the transfer of energy to one being to another, and especially of health. When you think of energy and health, it's very much so the same. The immune system is really an energy that we have in our body, and that gives our cells then the power to repel any kind of a virus or any kind of a bacteria or any kind of an illness or dis-ease. It's really amazing, and try it with your animals. It really, it is just, it's just really. I have one little spastic dog who's just really, he gets so excited that he almost chokes because he gets so overexcited and happy and so on. And all I do now is I used to give him chamomile, or I would give him a remedy that would help him calm down. Now what I do is I hold both hands on his body and I just still myself. I just put myself very still and I just go and hold it there. And you know what? It used to take a minute. Now it takes a few seconds and he's calm. He senses that. He knows that. And by the same token, it works the other way. If I get excited, if there's excitement, or if I go, my voice goes up and I go, oh, well, you know, what a nice puppy, and then they get excited and then they get out of bounds too. So if you have any thoughts on that, or if you have tried that, it would be really nice to hear your thoughts. Amnon, do we have anyone in the chat room?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
I mean, there's a bunch of people out there. And let me take this opportunity. Guys, I know you're watching because I see your IP addresses. Please log into the chat and participate.
Yes, I welcome it. I really do. The show is going to get a lot better if you participate, and because I have a wealth of knowledge and I want to share it with you, but I don't even know what you guys need. So let me know, okay? Please do. We really are sort of like out on an island here, and we need to know that there's life out there. And thoughts. I know that you have your thoughts on it. Talking about thoughts, have you heard the latest about the, I'm so sorry, about the Zika virus? Well, the latest knowledge is, excuse me, the latest knowledge is that the Zika virus can be transmitted by gays that are sexually active. Now, and they have found that it is devastating to them. To what extent, they're still looking for it, but now they have found another way that it can be sexually transmitted. It is just really quite amazing. And you know what my thought on that is? My thought on that is that this virus cannot be a new virus. It had to have been around for quite some time to develop itself so viciously. You know, I mean, it doesn't just hurt newborns, it hurts also the people that contract it. They just have not done all the research yet of how it influences us. But my take on all of this is that the viruses and the bacteria will inherit the earth. That one day will, you know, they will be the kings and we will be the slaves, because it is amazing of how the viruses everywhere have grown, and how strong they have become. Like, just think of Mercer, in the hospitals. I mean, they have these viruses and bacteria. They have absolutely no defense anymore. There's no antibacterial. There's nothing that kills them except a very healthy person. If it's a very healthy person, most of the viruses, by the way, attack hosts that have somewhat already an impairment of some kind of, where the immune system is not the strongest. So my take on this is, keep your immune system the strong, as strong as you can. Take extra vitamin C every day, or eat plants and fruits and vegetables that provide you with vitamin C. Give your animals at least one day a week a raw food meal that provides them with all of the vitamin B and vitamin C minerals also, that keep their immune system very healthy. That is really our main defense. If we cannot keep our immune system really strong and healthy, then we will not have any defense, because we cannot rely just on homeopathy or on antibacteria to make us better. Once the cow is out of the barn, it's going to be very hard, if it's an obstinate one, to get it back in. Milk that is spilled, you can't really get back into the carton. And I can go on. Once it's done, you only have, the only defense then is you have medication. But you can stop that. You can have a strong immune system. If you are pre-diabetic, or if you have an autoimmune system predisposition from your ancestors, from your mother or father who was diabetic, then your DNA is somewhat impaired, and very likely you will be able to get it too. But you can keep your immune system very strong. You can not take at the first onset and say, oh, well, I'm going to have to take the pills for a diabetic condition, or I have to take insulin injections. That should be the very last defense. There are several homeopathic remedies that work, especially for people who are diabetic. And how do we know that our animals are not diabetic? Many of them are, believe it or not. You can have a test done and that I would recommend. I would not recommend you doing it yourself. You could, but, and if you are so inclined, you can. It just takes a little prick in the ear. Just take the ear a little bit and take a little prick and have a tiny drop of blood and measure it with a glucose meter, a regular one that you buy for $20 at Walmart. And you can test your animals for that too. The charts and the what is normal, you can find easily on the internet. If your animal is diabetic, it is much more susceptible to all kinds of problems. As we know, kidney problems. We also know that they often get to be very obese. But that does not necessarily mean that an obese dog is also diabetic. Like, it doesn't mean that if you are obese, you are diabetic. However, the likelihood of it is more so than not. But there are many very skinny animals and people that are diabetic. So be careful of judging it. Always have the test. See that you test. And if you are pre diabetic, here is my suggestion: buy yourself a little glucose meter. They are inexpensive. You can buy them without a prescription. Test yourself a couple times a day for like a week. See where you are. Note it down. See where you are. Your glucose should be between 90 and 130 to 140 at the most. If it is way above that early in the morning, like 150, 160, 180 and higher, then you may start to have a problem. Like I said, there are several homeopathic remedies that you can take, and I, for one, am in that boat. My mother was diabetic. My brother is diabetic. They both had complications of it. I am pre-diabetic, and I take to to contain that and to level that. I take homeopathic remedies. But as you know, homeopathic remedies are for each person a little different. For some people, it is Sigenium. For other people, it is insulin. For other people, it is not myrrh. There are several different. You have to understand what goes on with the person or the animal. If it is a, and I think the best way to explain that really is, I just read something about coughs. You know, people go and say, oh, I have a cough. Well, yeah, but what kind of cough? Where is the cough? Is the cough up here? Is the cough in your chest? Is the cough really almost in your pelvis? You can have very many different types of cough, as you can have very many different types of diabetic. So when you make the decision for a homeopathy remedy, you always have to consider the entire person and where it is, what type it is. And if you want to know more about it, please do contact me. Every Sunday we have this show. If you tell me of what kind of subjects or what you would like to know, I will make it a point. You can email me at mylife-mywill at live.com. It's very easy. And here's Charlie wants to say hello to everybody. Come here, Charlie, come. Yeah, come here. You can come here. You can come here. Say hello to the folks. There he is. Hi there, everybody. Yeah. And with that, oh my goodness, everybody, see, my voice went up. The rest of the crowd started to bark and to say, go say hello, hi. And with that, we're going to make it a short show because I think they all want to go out and take me for a walk. So I wish you all, do we have any questions, Amnam, before I leave?
No, no.
Do you have a question, Amnon?
Mm,
Nothing
no,
either.
not really.
Okay. Well,
Not
then
today.
I will say goodbye for today. I will see that I see you next Sunday, and hopefully you will send me some information of your questions. Ask me questions, tell me what you would like to hear. If you have an idea for the show, I'd be glad to consider it. And otherwise, I wish you a glorious week. And think about that happiness starts in the head and not in possessions. Bye for now. Bye bye. Say bye bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, My Life, My Will with Gisela DiCarlo, The Tanya Love Show, Help Then with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Triangle Be Well with Howard Jacobson, Lunch and Learn with Rabbi Yisrael Cutler, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, Parent Dome with Ryan Miller, Current Affairs with Amnon Nissan. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section on nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Atomos.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.